A Christian Times Magazine book review, read by David Clark. Tommy Robinson, Enemy of the State, tells his story, his true story, in this book. He was born in Luton in 1984. He lived at Farley Hill and grew up in a multicultural world, one part of which is Bury Park, that he describes as the hotbed of extreme Islam. He tells of his growing up in Luton and his run-in with Muslim gangs. This life of Tommy Robinson really began in 2009, when a group of angry residents from his own town shouted enough. They had seen extreme Muslims being encouraged by the police to scream their hatred at the return of the soldiers of the Royal Anglican Regiment in March 2009. Tommy would argue his overarching crime, at least in the eyes of the British establishment, was being a patriarch. He loved his country and believed that St. George's Day, the 23rd of April, should be a public holiday. He's neither a racist, Nazi, nor xenophobic, and maintains Islamophobia is not a word, because a phobia is described as having an irrational fear about something that there is no need to be afraid of. He states it's perfectly reasonable to be afraid of the activities of radical Islamic terrorists. The colour of a person's skin or the nature of their religion is not a concern to him, as he has grown up and is fully accustomed to a multicultural society, having friends of all nationalities and colour in Luton and the UK. Although the book is not about his connection with the English Defence League, which he may write another about, he does state that from the moment they started the English Defence League and began aggravating the authorities, the British state decided it would do the same to them. Or specifically, the public face of the EDL, being him. On leaving prison, Tommy was under probationary licence until July the 23rd, 2015, and had to keep his nose clean, otherwise they would put him back inside. During this time, his probation officer made her objective to make him one of her politically correct puppets. He says they, the police, Special Branch, MI5, James Bond, and for all he knew, descended on him and his family like a ton of bricks. This book was finished just after the Paris massacre on November 13th, 2015. It shook the world. Now, Tommy reminds us that the world has tried to handle radical Islam so far, but it hasn't worked. He maintains that he feels compelled to alert all of the great enemy of the state, Islam, and its so-called ideology. He reiterates he's not against individual Muslims, but Islam itself. This is the enemy of the state. Get your copy now. It's a very good read, very educational, alerting the reader to the crooked ways of those in authority, the police, probation service and prison governors. This is a recommended read to all, and a recommendation for Christians too. This is because, although Tommy Robinson does not profess to be a Christian, he is testifying to the evils of Islam that the Bible speaks of, and for which all Christians will be aware. As a nation, we used to pray, God save our gracious Queen from all her enemies. Islam is just one. Available from amazon.co.uk. Now, if you appreciate this book review, please subscribe and take a look at our Christian Times magazine, available from amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. If you feel you could write an article for future editions, please email our editor anil.anwar@aol.com.